The presiding judge sweeps in, all robes and authority, greeting the seated and slightly nervous-looking participants. We're all buckled up for what looks like a roller coaster of a paternity dispute involving not one, but two potential dads. Grab your popcorn, folks. This is going to be a wild ride.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Marsack versus O'Malley and Messiest.
Thank you, Jerome.
You're welcome.
Good day, everyone. Ms. Marsack, you admit to sleeping with two men at the time you conceived your 11-month-old son, Caden.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you state you're here today for the sake of your baby's future and Britley need to identify his biological father.
Plot twist incoming. Mr. O'Malley isn't buying the Father of the Year mug just yet. He's got doubts galore thanks to Ms. Marsack's past rendezvous. With a furrowed brow, he lays out his hesitations, all while Ms. Marsack counters with a strong hunch that he's the bio-dad. Oh, the suspense is killing us. What's next? You won't believe it until you see it.
You were sleeping with Mr. Messiest as well.
Right after me and Mr. O'Malley were together, I had met Mr. Messiest at a party, and we were drinking, and one thing led to another, and we ended up intimate, and I honestly can't remember much of what happened.
Memory lapse or tactical omission? Ms. Marsack's on the spot and drawing blanks about whether she played it safe during those crucial encounters. The court's all ears as the judge probes deeper. This paternity plot thickens by the minute. Who knew a courtroom could feel like a suspense thriller? Don't miss what happens next. It's more riveting than a season finale.
So I asked for proof because she had lied to me numerous times before, and her word isn't really trustworthy, at least for me. So about a week later, she sends me a letter. It looked homemade, Your Honor. I really wish I still had the picture of it. So I presumed it wasn't true.
Because you asked her for some type of proof from the doctor.
Yes, Your Honor, I asked for some proof.
And she gave you a letter.
Here comes a curveball from Mr. O'Malley. He recounts the tale of a Facebook bombshell dropped by Ms. Marsack, claiming pregnancy post their fling revival. But he's smelling something fishy, like a homemade pregnancy test kind of fishy. Trust issues are in the air, and we're not just talking about the scent of courtroom coffee. What will he reveal next? It's going to blow your mind.
One day I get this message on Facebook saying that I'm pregnant and you could possibly be the father.
And what were you thinking?
I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know what to think.
So do you remember this encounter, or you don't remember it either?
I remember it.
Cross-country drama alert. Mr. Messiest recalls the fateful Facebook message while chilling on the West Coast, throwing him into the potential daddy pool. He's sure of the encounter, crystal clear even, and admits protection was totally MIA. The stakes are sky high, and so is our anticipation. What's around the corner? Trust me, it's worth sticking around for.
So it is a real possibility that you could be this child's father?
Yes. I was constantly thinking it could be someone else's, but I wasn't too for sure because I didn't know her that well. It was just a one-night stand. It only takes one time, but...
That's right. That's right.
Grab the tissues. It's heartbreak time. Ms. Marsack lays bare her soul, talking about the loneliness and tough calls she faced during her pregnancy. Decisions, all made while juggling the joys and trials of single motherhood. Her story could tug a tear from a statue. But hold on, the emotional roller coaster is about to hit another loop.
It's very hard. So I stood up and made the decision, to go ahead and do it. I made the mistake of doing what I did, and I have to raise that beautiful child. Since I have no idea who could be his dad, I just said, I'll do it alone. I made the decision, and I did not contact neither one of them.
Mr. O'Malley steps back into the confessional booth, admitting his not-so-hands-on approach due to paternity doubts and not wanting to commute from another state. Mr. Messiest, on the other hand, is all in, playing dad like a pro. This courtroom is morphing into a soap opera set right before our eyes. And guess what? The next chapter is just around the corner.
So... have you been in Caden's life?
Your Honor, I haven't been in as much as I should have, but I didn't know. I understand Mr. Messiest has been more of a father to Caden than I have, and I accept that. I was working out of state, so I didn't want to come back to Illinois to raise a child that I didn't know that was mine or not.
And the drama escalates. Ms. Marsack insists there's a family resemblance that can't be ignored. Mr. O'Malley, however, is not seeing any family portraits in his future with Caden. The tension could be cut with a knife. Where will this family feud lead? Stay tuned, because the next twist is a real cliffhanger.
My other two children, I refuse to have my child have a different last name than me and my other children.
When you say you believe in your heart and your gut that Mr. O'Malley is the child's, are there any other reasons? Is it just looks?
No, Your Honor, there is one big reason. My son does look just like his other baby. Mind you, my son is a week older than his other baby.
Drum roll, please. The DNA results are in, and the courtroom holds its breath.
It has been determined by this court that the biological father is Mr. O'Malley.
Big relief, Your Honor. Big relief. Finally got the truth.
I can feel that across the room.
What do you want to do? Would you like to work it out?
You need to step up.
I will.
What a start to the court session. The session begins with everyone taking their seats and greeting the judge. The case, Jackson Jr. v. the Jackson, is introduced. Jerome thanks the judge, and the audience responds with a good day. Hold on tight, the story is just unfolding. Get ready for a roller coaster ride.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is the case of Jackson Jr. versus Jackson.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Mr. Jackson, you say that 41 years ago, you were falsely accused of fathering a little girl, and that accusation has ruined your life, cost you tens of thousands of dollars, steady employment, and your health.
It's heart-wrenching to hear Mr. Jackson's admission. Mr. Jackson admits he told Ms. Jackson about his doubts when she was young. He clarifies his relationship with her mother and the reason for his doubts. Despite his doubts, he acknowledges some form of relationship with Ms. Jackson, though not a traditional father-daughter relationship. The story takes another twist right after this.
I was like 9 or 10 or 11 years old.
You were having to process that information?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson, did you tell her that young that you thought her mom may have slept with somebody else?
I did tell her I did. I had my doubt that her mom was young at that time and she was seeing more than one person.
But you did have a relationship with Miss Jackson.
It wasn't the kind of relationship that most daughters would have with their father.
Was it?
I considered him as a homie.
Imagine finding out you're on a birth certificate without consent. Mr. Jackson describes the fallout with his wife after she found out about the affair. Ms. Jackson's mother included his name on her birth certificate without his consent. Mr. Jackson insists he never signed the birth certificate or attended any doctor's appointments for Ms. Jackson. The suspense builds as we delve deeper.
I told her it was not my child, Your Honor.
Did you say that because you didn't believe that was your child? Or did you say that because you knew you were married and you knew you were wrong?
At that time, I believed a little both, Your Honor.
Okay, that's honest. I want to know.
Yes.
So did your wife ever find out?
Yes, she did, Your Honor.
And what happened then? Did it break up your family?
For a small period of time, it did, and we got back together.
Who would have thought stuttering could be a family trait? Ms. Jackson's stuttering is discussed, linking it to Mr. Jackson's belief that it is a family trait. An expert, Molly Dale, confirms that stuttering can be hereditary, but varies in severity. Ms. Jackson mentions her mild stutter, attempting to navigate her speech to avoid it. The next part brings more expert insights.
Serious psychological issues in my life to the point to where I've had issues with choosing functional men. I can't choose functional men because I don't know what that looks like.
If I've done anything to hurt you when you were small, I apologize. But I wish you had to let me know way before now and told me.
That was powerful testimony from Mr. Jackson's stepson. Mr. Jackson and Ms. Jackson provide closing statements, reinforcing their beliefs about their relationship. Mr. Jackson's stepson, King David Gabriel Johnson, testifies to Mr. Jackson's fairness in raising biological and stepchildren. He asserts that Mr. Jackson would not have denied Ms. Jackson if he believed she was his daughter. The suspense peaks as we await the DNA results.
Frequently it is. There is a strong genetic component with stuttering. About 60% of people who stutter have family members that stutter as well.
And then she talked about, in her testimony just recently, having to deal with a slight level of stuttering. Is the severity or lack thereof any indicator?
Someone in a family who is severely, profoundly a stutterer, and then you can also have someone that is a mild stutterer as well.
Here comes a twist with a heartfelt letter. Mr. Jackson admits to regretting not taking a DNA test earlier. He presents a heartfelt letter he wrote to the court seeking help. Judge Lake acknowledges the letter and prepares to reveal the DNA test results. The moment of truth is right around the corner.
This is in my hand letter I wrote to read.
May I see that?
I wrote to the court to try to get help.
So you sent this letter to the court in your home state?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
And the letter reads, I don't have any amount that I can offer for compromise because I only get $1,352 a month.
And there it is, the DNA test results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jackson Jr., you are her father.
The case of Morris versus Brister kicks off with a bang. Mr. Morris confidently claims to be the biological father of the 29-year-old woman, Ms. Brister, standing across the aisle. Meanwhile, Ms. Brister is having none of it, stating she's been fed lies by her mother, Ms. Smith. And oh boy, the plot thickens from here.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is the case of Morris versus Brister.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Mr. Morris, you say you are 100% certain that you are the biological father of the 29-year-old woman standing across the aisle and want this court to put an end to years of confusion, lies, and doubt. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, here's a twist for you. Ms. Smith drops the bombshell that she and Mr. Morris are currently back together after a whopping 14 years apart. But don't get too comfortable, because despite their reunion, there's still a major paternity question hanging over them. Mr. Morris explains he rushed back to town after hearing Ms. Smith was pregnant with his child. Buckle up, because the drama is just getting started.
What is the status of your relationship right now?
Well, we're back together.
You are.
Yes.
Yes.
We're a couple.
After how many years?
14 years to be precise.
14 years.
Yeah.
And now you're back together.
Yes.
But there's still this paternity issue hanging in the balance.
Whoa, this took an unexpected turn. Ms. Smith confesses she told Mr. Morris that none of her children were his, and she had her reasons. Apparently, she wasn't keen on rekindling their romance. Meanwhile, Ms. Brister shares that she was always told the man on her birth certificate was her father. And just like that, the mystery deepens. And trust me, there's more where that came from.
We had an issue, and she told me to my face that, none of her children were mine. So I left.
So how old was Ms. Brister at this time?
I would say she had to be 5, maybe 5 or 6.
So, Ms. Smith, you remember telling him that Ms. Brister was not his child?
Yes.
Now, this is where things get really interesting. Ms. Brister pulls out an exhibit, a timeline that outlines the conflicting information she's received over the years. She remembers taking a DNA test as a child, but has no recollection of the results. Different men have been suggested as her father, turning her life into a real-life soap opera. And guess what? The confusion is far from over.
That he wasn't my father.
You brought an exhibit for the court?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it, please.
This is just a timeline of some of the things that she's told me over the years. I've always known the man on my birth certificate to be my father.
Wow, this is heavy stuff. Mrs. Smith tearfully explains that she lied to protect her daughter from the harsh realities of life with Mr. Morris. She wanted to shield her from his criminal lifestyle and the chaos that came with it. The court understands her intentions, but the lies have caused a whirlwind of confusion. Get ready, because the next part is going to hit hard.
That's how I remember.
And then in 2015, your mother tells you that a deceased man, Mr. Woods, could be your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may step back over to the podium, ma'am. This is confusing. It really is.
It's very confusing for me.
And I can see how much that hurts you.
It's hurtful.
Mr. Morris drops a bombshell of his own. While he was locked up, he was served with child support papers, making him believe he was the father. He kept away from Ms. Brister to protect her from his troubled past. Ms. Brister can't help but wonder why neither he nor his family reached out to her all these years. The layers of this story just keep peeling back.
When I remember.
When you remember
her saying that the man on my birth certificate wasn't my father.
So, Mr. Morris, as you look at Ms. Brewster testify and you hear her testimony, how does that make you feel? You've maintained that you thought you were her biological father all along. She's got 4 stories she just presented to the court.
See, I never knew anything about those.
DNA test results. Here comes the moment of truth. Judge Lake reveals the DNA test results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Morris.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are not her father.
What?
I'm very sorry.
Oh boy, here we go. What an intense start to the court case. The court case begins with everyone being seated and the introduction of the case, Thomas v. Nelson. Ms. Thomas is introduced, and it's stated she had 5 children with the defendant, Mr. Nelson. She claims he cheated and now questions the paternity of their youngest child, Jakai. Buckle up, folks. This ride is just starting.
Ms. Thomas, you claim you spent 6 years in a relationship with the defendant, Mr. Taylor. In return, he cheated on you and is now questioning the paternity of your youngest child, 8-month-old Jakai.
Here comes the heat. Things are really heating up. Ms. Thomas blames the relationship's failure on Mr. Nelson's cheating throughout their entire relationship. She questions why she endured the hard times and tried to make it work for the sake of their children. The judge probes deeper into why Ms. Thomas tolerated the infidelity. The plot thickens.
He cheated on me throughout almost our whole entire relationship. Why wouldn't you want to make something like that work with somebody you had all these years with? He gave up the relationship. I wish it was that easy for me sometimes to just throw it away.
It was easy. I asked her, Your Honor, I said, are you gonna leave this guy alone? She said no. I even threatened with her. I was like, if you don't leave him alone, I said, I'm gonna go back to North Carolina. She was like, that's on you.
Can you believe this drama? Unbelievable revelations keep coming. Mr. Nelson accuses Ms. Thomas of being unfaithful, citing evidence found in her belongings. He questions her late-night outings and changing behavior. Ms. Thomas responds, asserting she was always there for the children despite the accusations. The tension continues to build.
Ms. Thomas is with another guy?
Yes.
How did you find that out?
The dude's picture was popping up on her phone.
It didn't start like that. He decided to leave because at that time we did grow apart.
I used to find stuff in her purse and everything. She'd be like, I'm going to work today. She'd come back and be like, you like this outfit right here? I'm like, yeah, where you going? You work? If anything, I've been here with the kids all day long, all 4 of them.
Oh, this is getting good. What a twist in the narrative. The judge challenges Ms. Thomas on her narrative of a loving relationship against the backdrop of infidelity. Ms. Thomas admits to retaliating against Mr. Nelson's cheating by seeing another man. She insists it was not a pattern, but a response to his behavior. The drama escalates further.
What is this? Why then do you start having other men popping up on your phone?
It wasn't men, it was that one man, not men.
And why? Why did you get in a relationship with this one man? As retaliation for his cheating?
So he seen how I felt all them years he cheated on me. He felt it.
Brace yourself for this one. You won't believe the evidence presented. The judge confirms the ovulation and intercourse dates aligning with Ms. Thomas's testimony. Mr. Nelson is asked if he recalls the dates, but admits he does not. Ms. Thomas continues to assert that Mr. Nelson was the only person she was with during the conception period. The plot thickens even more.
On my tracker, Your Honor,
every time I messed with him, she said that's why she, every time she had sex with him, that's why she put it on the calendar like that.
In October, it looks like around the 28th is when your cycle begins.
Yes, Your Honor.
That was a bombshell. Mr. Nelson admits to reviewing Ms. Thomas's calendar and finding discrepancies. He recounts Ms. Thomas admitting to past slip-ups. Ms. Thomas defends herself, explaining she was honest and transparent about her actions. The drama continues to unfold.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you remember those dates, Mr. Nelson?
No, I do not, Your Honor. I had went through her phone. She was like, every time I had sex with him, and this is after you left, I started having sex with this guy. So I was like, all right. So then I went back further in her calendar. I'm like, so what's these days for? She was like, because I said, so we was together then when he was doing it. She was like, okay, so well, I had a slip up.
The plot just thickened even more. Ms. Thomas claims Mr. Nelson initially accepted the pregnancy and even announced it to others. She asserts his denial only started after meeting Ms. Campbell. Mr. Nelson tries to justify his actions, citing their ongoing relationship. The story isn't over yet.
Up until the time he met Miss Campbell, that's when he started denying my son. He was cheating on me with her. I didn't know about her until I found out she was calling him through Facebook because we were still messing around even when he was with her.
This story is full of twists and turns. Ms. Campbell, Mr. Nelson's wife, testifies about discovering a video of Mr. Nelson with Ms. Thomas. She describes the moment she realized something was wrong based on their behaviors. Ms. Thomas confirms they were still involved during that time. More revelations await.
I have text messages also that we still mess around still to this day.
Oh, you mighty quiet now, Mr. Nelson.
I'm gonna tell my wife right in front of her, I apologize. My wife already knew about it. She had caught me. It was a video and everything. She caught me.
He's apologizing now because he got caught.
All right.
What an intense moment in court. Ms. Campbell reveals finding the video dated around the time Ms. Thomas came to Greensboro. She describes her suspicions and the confrontation that followed. Mr. Nelson acknowledges his wife caught him with Ms. Thomas. The tension only increases.
It's a video I found. The video is dated April 3rd, which would have been, the first day or so that she had showed up in Greensboro. All I know is I saw her demeanor when she came around. She was kind of like high-stepping. I'm like, okay, this is a person that's supposedly supposed to be so hurt. Like, why is she grinning? And then I saw his demeanor and he looked guilty.
Another twist in the narrative. The judge emphasizes the emotional toll on all parties involved, highlighting Mr. Nelson's manipulative behavior. She confronts both women about their roles in the ongoing situation. The audience reacts to the revelations. The drama intensifies.
No, I made a slip up.
He had plenty of slip ups.
He's comfortable from going from wifey side chick.
No, I'm not nobody's side chick because your husband is the one that tells me he wants to leave.
But that makes you a chick. We're legally married.
Wait a minute. No, it does not. No, it does not. He told me he married you out of spite.
No, I didn't.
Let's get some order. Both of you are confused. He's sleeping with both of y'all, okay? So, look.
Unbelievable what we just heard. Ms. Thomas expresses her desire for Mr. Nelson to leave her alone and focus on his marriage. She reveals his ongoing communication and attempts to reconnect. The judge asks if she brought any proof of these interactions to court. The plot thickens.
I want him to leave me alone, honest. If he's gonna make his marriage work, let your marriage work. I'll try to move forward with my life. He calls me and tells me how much he misses me and wants to be with me. It's not the other way around. And I have messages. And if he wants to be with me—
Did you bring the messages to court with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
That was an intense confrontation. The judge confronts Mr. Nelson about avoiding the conversation and his responsibilities. Ms. Thomas insists on being left alone to move forward with her life. The judge emphasizes the emotional manipulation at play. The story continues to unfold.
I just want him, if he's gonna make it work, leave it alone.
She hasn't done anything personally to me. In all honesty, everything between the two of us is strictly emotion, right?
Honestly, I don't feel no way.
Yes, you do.
If you're gonna make your marriage work,
Stop.
What an intense moment in court. The judge reads the DNA test results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Nelson, you are the father.
crap.
The case of Nelson versus Sterling and Haynes is officially announced in court. The presiding judge, Jerome, introduces the case and the parties involved. Brace yourself. The drama ramps up from here.
You may be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Nelson versus Sterling and Haynes.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone.
How you doing, Your Honor?
Grab your popcorn. This next bit is a doozy. Miss Nelson describes her confusing family situation, revealing that she grew up believing one man was her father, while another man was listed on her birth certificate. She then discusses how a third man, the defendant, contacted her claiming to be her father. You won't believe the curveballs coming next.
You say you grew up believing one man was your father, yet had another man listed on your birth certificate. Then, after you turned 30 years old, a third man, the defendant, suddenly contacted you on Facebook claiming he was your father.
Guess what the judge pulls out next? The judge requests to see Miss Nelson's birth certificate, which lists Vincent Preston Nelson as her father, a name she does not recognize as the man she believed to be her father. Hang tight, the plot thickens even more.
Do you have a copy of your birth certificate with you?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Father's name listed, Vincent Preston Nelson. And that's not the name of the gentleman you visited in prison.
I was hurt because I never knew who he was. I just knew that this man was my dad, and I felt like my mom should have.
This message really flips the script. Miss Nelson recounts receiving a Facebook message from a man named Christopher Lancaster, who claims to be her father and expresses his regret for not being part of her life. The contact information he provided was outdated, adding to the confusion. Next up, things get even twistier.
From a man named Christopher Lancaster. I'm your dad. He was sorry for not being in my life. He now wants to be in my life. And he left 2 numbers. I contacted both those numbers. Both the numbers were disconnected because it was 4 months prior.
Here's where things start to get juicy. A revelation occurs when Mr. Sterling admits to being the person behind the Facebook message, explaining he used the name Christopher Lancaster to avoid problems with other people in his life. Watch as the truth slowly unravels.
Put that message on Facebook. I had problems with other people in my life, so I didn't want to use my real. I made up a Facebook page of Christopher Lancaster. I always was looking for my daughter.
This revelation is a real tearjerker. An emotional twist unfolds as Mr. Sterling, also known as Christopher Sterling, and Vincent Preston Nelson, claims he was present at Miss Nelson's birth and asserts he is her biological father. Keep the tissues handy. It's about to get even more heartfelt.
You hadn't heard of Christopher Sterling or Christopher Lancaster?
No, Your Honor. The only person I knew of was Vincent Nelson.
You're saying that this was a pretty deep relationship you had with her mother?
Yes, ma'am.
High school sweethearts and...
Yes, ma'am.
Feel every bit of Miss Nelson's emotional turmoil here. Miss Nelson expresses her feelings of betrayal and confusion, having grown up with conflicting stories about her father's identity and her longing for a true paternal connection. Don't go anywhere. The emotional climax is just around the corner.
I got on punishment for everything, and I'm the guy. I was on punishment for 2 weeks.
You should have been!
We were so much in love. I used to tie a note, because we stayed on the 5th floor, is the project, so we stayed on the 5th floor. I used to hand a note down on a string and then give it to her. She'd tie her note up, and I pulled the note up. I was on punishment for 2 weeks.
Time for some major revelations. The judge suggests speaking with Miss Nelson's mother to clarify the family history and the identities involved, adding another layer of drama to the unfolding case. The next revelation is a total game changer, folks.
Hi, ma'am. Thank you for joining us today. Ms. Haynes, you are Ms. Nelson's mother.
Yes.
You admit you had a relationship with this gentleman, Christopher Sterling.
Yes.
But do you know him as Christopher Sterling?
I know him as Christopher Sterling because I was there.
Buckle up for the big reveal. The emotional climax of the episode is reached as the DNA test results are revealed.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Sterling, you are her father.
Can you believe this kickoff? The case is introduced as Andrews v. Corbett, involving Mr. Andrews and Ms. Corbett, with allegations of paternity fraud. Mr. Andrews accuses Ms. Corbett of forging his signature on their son Quinn Andrews Jr.'s birth certificate, believing he is not the biological father. Buckle up, because we're just getting started.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is the case of Andrews versus Corbett.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Mr. Andrews, you and your mother are in court today suing your ex, Ms. Corbett, for paternity fraud because you claim your signature on the birth certificate of her 5-month-old son, Quinn Andrews Jr., who you believe is not your biological son.
Strap in for this roller coaster. Ms. Corbett refutes Mr. Andrews' claims, suggesting his doubts stem from his unwillingness to be a responsible adult influenced by his mother. The judge listens as both parties present their initial statements about the forged signature and their perspectives on the relationship and responsibilities. Just when you think it couldn't get more heated, it does.
Let me see that birth certificate. So you say somehow your name just appeared on the birth certificate?
Yes, ma'am.
Quinn Andrews Sr., name of father, right underneath. But you didn't sign it.
No, ma'am.
Take me back to that day. You believe somebody put your name on there?
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain.
Day of the birth, I cut the umbilical cord. I requested a blood test. I stayed at the hospital for like 24 hours. And the following day, I ended up leaving to retrieve a car seat. I didn't sign nothing.
You claim somebody put your name on the birth certificate.
Yeah, obviously.
Did that really just happen? Mr. Andrews describes the day of the birth, claiming he did not sign the birth certificate despite being at the hospital and cutting the umbilical cord. He requested a blood test, but left the hospital temporarily, during which time he believes his name was unlawfully added to the birth certificate. Hold tight, because there's more drama ahead.
I mean, anybody that has kids, and she should know because she has enough, knows that in order for the birth
and all 8 of them
certificate,
is well taken care of, baby. I told my son not to sign a birth certificate until he get the blood test to prove that that is his
and that's
child.
why he's lying and said he didn't sign it because she told him not to sign it.
That's
and
a lie.
he didn't even want a blood test until she put her.
Did you witness him sign it?
I was there.
The plot thickens even more. Witnesses are brought into question. Ms. Corbett asserts that both a witness and she saw Mr. Andrews sign the document, contradicting his claims. The discussion becomes heated as family members interject with accusations and personal attacks. And guess what? It spirals even more out of control next.
So what you're saying is he didn't do what his mother told him to do, so now he's saying he didn't sign it.
If he signed the birth certificate, his name would actually be signed on that form.
So you're saying there is no cursive signature. It's only name.
Name.
What was the nature of this relationship? Take me back.
We were in a relationship, but I could never say it was actually a committed one because every time we hit a bumpy road in our relationship or we get into an argument about anything, it could be simple. Quinn is out the door, right back to his mama.
You'll want to sit down for this. Mr. Andrews presents a diagram to the court describing the layout of their apartment and surrounding area to explain an alleged incident involving another man at their residence. This part of the testimony aims to support his doubts about the child's paternity. And just when you thought it couldn't get any more intense, it does.
Your Honor.
What does this diagram show?
This right here is a 2-story apartment building. This right here, like, is the driveway. Like 2 feet from the driveway is like the front entrance. And it's the same in the back. And right here is a slab and like an empty field. There's no gate around this side of the house, but on this side of the building, it's a gate. My cousin mama stayed right across the street, and you could sit right here and like literally watch all this. And if somebody murdered him over here, it'd be real obvious.
Things are about to get real. Judge Lake focuses the court on the child's well-being, urging the parents to prioritize their son's needs over their disputes. The emphasis shifts to the impact of their actions and disputes on the child's upbringing and future. The edge of your seat is where you'll be for the next part.
It's a line through the skin of his teeth.
What I got lying for?
Because this is my first time hearing this.
So you've outlined 4 pieces of doubt as to whether or not Quinn is your biological child. So you are saying that these allegations are not true.
They are
you
not
did
true.
not sleep
The
with
only
these
reason
men.
why he is saying that is because he is standing on side of her. And the other time, whenever I talk to Quinn, I don't hear none of this. All this, what he telling you about, this happened a whole year or something ago. This was way before my baby was born.
Grab your popcorn. Mr. Andrews discusses his sporadic interactions with the child, highlighting the strained and minimal relationship he has with his son, further complicated by the ongoing conflict with Ms. Corbett. Wait until you see what's coming up next. It's a doozy.
So you spent quality time with him.
He does not. I have to beg him for to come get my child.
Like 7 times.
He was there 6. I said, Quinn, you have to come meet me somewhere. I can't drive all the way down there. He was gonna drop my child off at a fire station.
Your Honor, I told that. I specifically told her that just to get her to move because she lied to me and told me she was threatening me with the police.
When he get tired of my baby, he won't drop him off at a fire station. You just heard him.
This baby has been on Earth for 5 months. This is not funny.
Are you ready for the big reveal? The climax of the episode as the DNA test results are revealed.
It has been determined by court. Mr. Andrew, you are the father.
Let it be known.
Get ready for a doozy of a court battle. The case of Wooten Jr. versus Backus is introduced in court. Jerome assists by announcing the parties involved. This case involves a dispute over the paternity of Alandria Backus and substantial back-child support. Buckle up, because the drama is just starting to unfold.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Wooten Jr. versus Backus.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Smith, you and your father, Mr. Wooten, are suing to prove Ms. Backus is not his biological daughter. You say your dad owed owes more than $92,000 in back child support for a child who isn't his.
Here's where the plot thickens right from the get-go. Miss Smith and her father, Mr. Wooten, claim that Miss Backus is not Mr. Wooten's biological daughter, despite him owing over $92,000 in back child support. Miss Backus, on the other hand, insists Mr. Wooten is her father and expects an apology from the family once proven right. You won't believe how the tension ramps up next.
Because his income is being garnished by 50% each month to pay off that debt.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Backus, you say that Mr. Wooten is your father, and when the results prove you right, you demand Miss Smith and the rest of your father's family apologize for treating you so poorly. How do you think Ms. Backus has ruined your father's life?
Grab your tissues for this heart-wrencher. Miss Backus describes a traumatic experience of being drawn blood from when she was a child during the paternity testing process. She expresses her ongoing love for her father and anticipates vindication through the current proceedings. The audience reacts supportively with applause. Stay tuned, the emotional roller coaster is just picking up speed.
If that's the case, then he should have showed up, and when they took blood from me just to have the test, he should have showed up for the test and we wouldn't be here today.
And they drew blood?
Yes, ma'am. I was a young girl when my mama finally decided to have child support papers on him. She made me go to the doctor. First of all, I remember being young and scared, and I started crying for my dad.
Talk about a tangled web. Mr. Wooten clarifies his short relationship duration with Miss Backus's mother, contradicting claims of a longer partnership. He expresses doubt about the paternity after learning of his ex-partner's subsequent pregnancy. The discussion reveals inconsistencies and communication issues between him and Miss Backus's mother. Just when you think you've seen it all, the next twist comes in hot.
2 months after we been together, she said she was pregnant. 4 months after we was together, we broke up.
Well, Daddy, you and Mama got two different stories, and I'm coming to find out the truth.
That's
Miss
right,
Daniels is a liar.
Once she was 4 months pregnant with her, I realized that most of the things that she was only interested in was me helping her financially.
When Miss Backus's mom said, "I'm pregnant," did you think it was your child?
I didn't question it that it wasn't at the time.
So when did you start doubting?
My mama said I was a player child.
She became pregnant again years later. She wanted to get back together. When I got back together with her, had she been seeing anybody else before we got together? And she said no.
Things just got a notch weirder with this bombshell. Miss Backus presents her birth certificate, where her mother had handwritten Mr. Wooten's name. She explains her mother's certainty about the paternity, which led to this action. The court reviews the evidence with interest, focusing on the authenticity and implications of the handwritten entry. Brace yourself as the family saga takes another wild turn.
She wrote it in because she know who her baby daddy is. That's one thing my mama
let me
do know.
see this evidence. This is your birth certificate?
That was my birth certificate. But when I filed for my new one, it came up blank on his name. That means she wrote it in. Yeah, my mama probably, look crazy for making a crazy move, but she know who her father is.
How many
So
lies
it is
did
your
mother tell?
contention that because your mother was so certain who your father
wrote
was,
it in. She wrote it in.
It's like a soap opera in here. Miss Smith recounts how other non-biological children were also excluded from their family, similar to Miss Backus. The family dynamics reveal a pattern of inclusion, followed by exclusion based on biological ties, stirring emotions in the courtroom. The next chapter in this family feud is about to unfold, and it's a doozy.
Ended up being excluded because they were not family. They were treated as family while they were there.
You want to sweep me underneath the rug so bad, but you're not gonna do it, baby. You let me get old now, and I can talk up for myself. And I'm tired of you lying. I don't care. When I care about you, I'm supposed to care about you now. Please, I'm getting ordered today. That's why I brought you here.
One at a time.
You'll need popcorn for this showdown. Miss Backus passionately argues her case, emphasizing her familial bond and asserting her identity as a Wooten, despite the family's denial. She shares her experiences and the support from her stepfather, which helped maintain her connection with Mr. Wooten. The climax is near, and it's going to be a showstopper.
I'm gonna tell you where I was. Now look back at me. I'm gonna tell you where I was. My mama was protecting me, and me and you both know why.
Protecting you from your own father?
Protecting me from your rumors, from all y'all rumors. Okay. And then you sitting up here not claiming me. I really ain't got no time for you, because at the end of the day, I got a man that came in my life at 10 years old and brought me to my daddy. My stepdaddy brought me to him. You hear me? They sat at the same table. My stepdaddy had to take me to my father because I was treating him like crap.
Here comes the grand finale. The DNA test results reveal that
Mr. Wooten Jr., you are not her father.
So now I know why I got treated like I am, and I'm good. I wanna apologize to the Wooten Pryor Clayton family for my mom's BS. TC, I came here with the confidence of knowing he was my father and knowing you was my son. So now that I know the truth, I'm sorry. Mama, you gotta pay that back.
She'll always be your daughter to me.
Buckle up, folks. The court session kicks off with a lively start as the judge cordially invites everyone to take a seat and proceeds to roll call the parties for the drama-filled case of Moore versus Scott. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for the fireworks
You may be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is the case of Moore versus Scott.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone.
Good day. Can you feel the tension? Mr. Moore steps up with a heavy claim, asserting his belief that he is the biological father of 4-year-old Allie Luna, and accuses Ms. Scott of playing emotional games while letting another man raise his child. The plot thickens, and you won't believe what's coming next.
You came to court today to prove you are the biological father of 4-year-old Aliana. You and your current girlfriend claim the defendant has played on your emotions for 4 years and has allowed another man to raise your little girl. You are desperate to put the defendant's doubt to rest so you can finally be in your daughter's life.
Things are getting spicy. Ms. Scott stands her ground, firmly stating that Mr. Moore is not the biological father of her daughter and adamantly wishes for him to back off after the DNA test supports her claim. Hang on, because the courtroom is just heating up.
You say you are positive Mr. Moore is not your daughter's biological father. Once the test proves you right, you want Mr. Moore to leave you and your child alone. Mr. Moore, you say you've always believed Allie is your daughter. Tell me why.
Yes, Your Honor. I've never seen my child a day in my life.
You've never seen her?
A day in my life.
But you're convinced she's your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
So why hasn't he seen her? If he feels that way, why hasn't he tried to see her?
Did that just happen? Despite never having laid eyes on Allie Luna, Mr. Moore is adamant that she is his daughter, based on his previous involvement with Ms. Ka Scott. This revelation stirs a wave of shock through the audience and prompts further probing from Judge Lake. Wait till you see what happens next.
So now, what was the nature of your relationship?
We met on a dating site. It was kind of like an escape plan for something that I was going through. So I wanted to,
plan?
Yeah.
Escape plan?
So I
was more
wanted
than
to
an
get away.
escape plan.
I wanted to get away from
boyfriend.
that. I wanted to get away from that. So, you know, I kind of led him on. I wasn't trying to pursue nothing, you know, be no family or anything with this man. We met together. He asked me to move in with him. I moved in with him. We maybe stayed together maybe a month.
And when was this?
That was in July of 2013.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Ms. Scott recounts how she met Mr. Moore on a dating site, using him as an escape plan from another predicament, highlighting that their relationship was never meant to be serious. The story takes an intriguing turn, so keep watching.
When you did have sex, Ms. Scott, did you use protection?
No, it wasn't protected.
So you moved in for a month. Were you faithful during that month, or you all were only seeing one another?
I was currently in a relationship when I met him originally.
When you moved in with him?
Right.
So why would you do that?
Because he was my escape plan. He was my dummy, basically.
You're not ready for this twist. During a routine health checkup, Ms. Scott finds out she's pregnant, and while she initially informs the presumed father, a call to Mr. Moore around the same time leads to a whirlwind of confusion and conflicting claims. The drama escalates. Don't miss out.
You know, I told my daughter's father that we were going to have a baby. I never, Mr. Moore, that we were going to have a baby together. I never told him that.
Your Honor, she called me and told me she was pregnant. Yes,
Never.
And how far along was she when she called to tell you?
She was a couple of weeks, about 3 to 4 weeks, she said.
3 to 4 weeks. And your response was?
I might be the possible father because I was having sex with her unprotected multiple times.
Here's where it gets really juicy. The court dives into the timeline of Ms. Scott's relationship with Mr. Moore, scrutinizing when they were together and the possible conception period, calculated by Judge Lake with a conception calculator. Just wait, there's more revelation just around the corner.
We moved in together in August. We had sex together in August.
After you moved in with her?
Right. We didn't have sex when we first met each other.
And he was saying, okay, and this is where the testimony differs significantly, because you say you had sex with her the first day you met her.
Which he's wrong. He's wrong. We didn't have sex the first day we met. We had sex after we had moved in together.
Gotcha. So you're saying you were already pregnant from the other guy when you moved in with Mr. Moore?
I was.
Just when you think it couldn't get any more heated, the air thickens with tension as allegations fly over past social media interactions that hint at Mr. Moore being recognized as a potential father by Ms. Scott, which she fervently denies. Buckle up, because there's a major bomb about to drop.
And was like, we need to get a DNA test done.
Really?
Like, she did that.
Never did that. I never did that.
And photos of your son and Miss Scott's daughter was submitted to the court. And on the right side is Aliana.
They don't look alike. His baby looks like him. My daughter looks like me, and she resembles.
She looks like me. She got the same pointy ears just like I do.
Pointy ears. A lot of people have pointy ears. Her dad has pointy ears.
Grab your popcorn. This is the big reveal. The long-awaited DNA test results are finally disclosed.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Moore, you are the father.
The tension is palpable as the court comes to order. The court session begins with the judge asking everyone to be seated and Jerome announcing the case of Curtis versus Buckley. Miss Curtis is in court to prove to her ex-fiancé, Mr. Buckley, that he is the father of her 22-month-old son, Xavier. She argues that his denial has not only broken their family, but has also left her and her son without a home. You won't believe what's coming up next.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is the case of Curtis versus Buckley.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Miss Curtis, you say this court date extremely important to you. You're here to prove to your ex-fiancé, Mr. Buckley, that fathered your 22-month-old son, Xavier, because his denial has left you homeless and in need of help.
As Mr. Buckley takes the stand, the drama escalates. He asserts that Miss Curtis was unfaithful and is adamant that the paternity test will clear his name. The judge listens intently to their initial remarks, setting the stage for an emotionally charged showdown. Buckle up, because this is just the tip of the iceberg.
You say Miss Curtis is a cheater, and today the test will prove you are not the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Miss Curtis, you say today's results mean everything.
Well, Your Honor, I grew up with a father. I know how important it is to have a father in your life. And Mr. Buckley says it's very important for our child to grow up with the father.
Tears start to flow as Miss Curtis shares her heart-wrenching story. She describes how Mr. Buckley's denial has forced her and her son into homelessness. Highlighting the importance of a father figure, she draws from her own childhood experiences. Mr. Buckley interjects, denying her claims, insisting he was supportive initially. Just wait, it gets even juicier.
Take your time. I know it's difficult.
With him being in and out of our life and kicking us, not only me, but his son out of his apartment, we landed in a homeless shelter.
I did not.
And I was not
true,
known
Your Honor.
as Champ Press Curtis. I was known as Resident 1625, sleeping in a twin-sized bed with my son.
That's not true, Your
Sharing-
Honor. I did not kick her out.
Sharing everything with other residents in the homeless shelter.
The plot thickens with Mr. Buckley's unexpected confession. He admits to having Miss Curtis evicted, but defends his actions by saying she threatened to make his life miserable. He also shares his personal struggles with fertility, which adds a layer of complexity to his paternity doubts. And oh, the courtroom is about to get a dose of reality.
I had just had surgery.
Is that true, Mr. Buckley?
Yes, that is true, Your Honor, but I allowed her to live in my apartment at that time. I was being nice to her. She got mad at me because I was with someone else. I didn't want a relationship with her. She told me she was gonna make my life a living hell while living in my apartment, and that's why I called my landlord.
A curveball is thrown when Miss Curtis recounts the moment she told Mr. Buckley about her pregnancy. His skeptical response and subsequent acceptance add layers to their turbulent relationship. Miss Curtis insists that despite his reservations, Buckley accepted Xavier as his son. The anticipation builds as they delve into the details of the pregnancy.
So what happened when Miss Curtis tells you, I'm pregnant?
Told her congratulations. Whose is it?
No, you didn't.
That's pretty much what I said.
No, you said you told every other girl you were in a relationship with, congratulations, who's the father? But I was different. That you were willing to step up and be his father, which you haven't done.
I haven't done that because of you.
Because of me?
Yes.
You got a car. You can drive.
You were living in my apartment. I allowed you to live in my apartment. You
And
left
still
because
didn't come
I
and
didn't want
see
to be
him.
with you.
As the story of the pregnancy unfolds, emotions run high. Mr. Buckley reflects on his changing feelings as Miss Curtis's pregnancy progressed, revealing his internal conflict between hope and skepticism. This moment highlights his emotional turmoil and longing for a child. The stage is set for an even more dramatic revelation at the birth.
When she told you she was pregnant, did you believe that there maybe was a miracle and you did father this child?
Not at first, Your Honor, no. The months continued to go along, continued to get older, and I wanted a child. I accepted Xavier as my child, even though I don't think I can have kids. Your
Joey, I know when I conceived. I know who I was with when I conceived.
I know who you were with too, and it wasn't just me.
So staying at your house and spending Christmas with you? Who was I having sex with? Your brothers? Your uncle?
No.
Everyone in the courtroom is moved by the touching story of Xavier's birth. Miss Curtis narrates the emotional roller coaster of her labor and Mr. Buckley's supportive presence throughout the ordeal. This profound experience brought them closer, cementing his place in her heart. Fasten your seatbelts. A witness is about to shake things up.
So take me to the day you gave birth.
I was in labor for 13 and a half hours. Mr. Buckley was with me for the whole 13 and a half hours. Pictures of him at the hospital.
I'd like to see those.
I ended up having to have an emergency C-section because little Xavier's oxygen level dropped and he was in distress. And when I woke up and they wheeled me by the nursery to see him, Mr. Buckley was standing there with tears running down his face. That was the moment that I fell in love with Mr. Buckley.
Just when you thought you'd heard it all, a witness steps forward with a bombshell. Mr. Buckley's friend, Ms. Bunch, accuses Miss Curtis of being promiscuous around the time Xavier was conceived. Using a detailed sketch, she claims to have had a clear view of Curtis's comings and goings. The courtroom is abuzz as these accusations fly. The next few moments are crucial.
You can't say what I wasn't.
She is extremely promiscuous. My witness here can tell you a little bit about that later, but...
So you're saying, sir, in addition to your doubt as it relates to your own medical challenges and not believing and being told you would not be able to father children, believe that Miss Curtis was very promiscuous?
Correct, Your Honor.
Legal intricacies come into play as the conversation turns to the implications of Mr. Buckley signing the birth certificate. Despite his doubts, Buckley acknowledges his responsibility towards Xavier, influenced by his emotional bond with the child. As they grapple with these legal ties, the room braces for the DNA results that will change everything.
So you're on the birth certificate, Mr. Buckley.
And I have proof of that too.
I'd like to see that. Are you currently paying child support?
I'm on child
No, he quit his
support,
job so he
Honor.
wouldn't have to.
I'm working right now. I'm missing out on
Just
work right
started.
now. I just started back.
Father's name, Xavier Buckley. That's you.
Correct.
You signed it voluntarily.
Yes, Your Honor.
And is there a child support order?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your seats as the DNA results are finally revealed.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Buckley, you are not his father.
Oh, baby.
Can you believe this drama unfolds right at the start? The episode kicks off with Jerome introducing the case of Ramos versus Edwards. Ms. Ramos strides into court determined to prove that her ex-fiancé, Mr. Edwards, is the father of her 1-month-old son, Xavier. She claims that once she announced her pregnancy, a parade of women Mr. Edwards was secretly seeing began questioning Xavier's paternity. Strap in, because the drama is just revving up.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Ramos versus Edwards.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Ramos, you are in court proved that your ex-fiancé, Mr. Edwards, fathered your 1-month-old son, Xavier. You claim that after sharing your news that you were pregnant with his baby, women he was secretly cheating with started coming out of the woodwork trying to convince him he's not the dad.
This next part is a real jaw-dropper. Ms. Ramos vents her frustrations with Mr. Edwards' continuous lies and manipulations. She recounts their roller coaster history, highlighting that they were once engaged and had reconnected after years apart. The relationship took a serious turn around the time Xavier was conceived, despite a brief fling she had with an ex after things initially cooled off with Mr. Edwards. And just when you think it can't get more tangled, wait until you hear Mr. Edwards' side of the story.
Own infidelities? You say you brought a bombshell witness who will reveal the truth and seal your case. Ms. Ramos, you say you're fed up with his drama. Tell me why.
I'm fed up with his lies, his manipulation. He does this to other people. It's not the only one. How can you deny such a beautiful baby?
So what was the nature of this relationship? I mean, you said that you were engaged.
We known each other for years before.
Things get even spicier here. Mr. Edwards lays out his doubts about being Xavier's father, pointing fingers at Ms. Ramos' supposed infidelities and the mysterious shift in her due dates. He drops the bombshell that Ms. Ramos admitted to a fling with another ex just around the time Xavier was conceived. She confirms it, but insists it happened before she and Mr. Edwards reignited their flames. Buckle up, because the courtroom is about to turn into a battleground.
So you all were in a serious relationship.
Yeah, but then
but you admit you had sex with an ex of yours.
Right. When I spoke to my doctor, and she told me the date that I conceived was way before the time I even had sex with my ex.
So, Mr. Edwards, you now are informed that she had sex with one of her ex, and this is what leads you to doubt?
That and other confessions.
You won't believe the curveball coming next. The spat heats up as Mr. Edwards accuses Ms. Ramos of sleeping with a relative of his while pregnant, a claim she vehemently denies. Judge Lake steps in to unpack the relationship dynamics and the nature of family ties, emphasizing that family isn't just biological, it's also who you choose to call your kin. The tension is about to skyrocket. Stay tuned.
You have extended family, you have your village that's your family, and sometimes you have family through marriage.
But I also disagree, because them two don't even get along. They've always been beefing, they'd always been fighting, they'd always argue. They wanted to fight each other.
Okay, so let's just say for the record in this courtroom, that sounds like family.
Right.
Grab your popcorn. This moment is pure soap opera. Mr. Edwards denies being Xavier's father, contradicting the joyful facade he presented in the birth photos at the hospital. Ms. Ramos counters by showing these photos in court, arguing that Mr. Edwards' cheerful demeanor at the hospital clashes starkly with his current denial. The emotional roller coaster is far from over, and you'll want to see what's up next.
Did you believe you were the child's biological father?
No.
I have proof right here, Honor, with him being at the hospital with this big smile on his face. I'd rather that you not come to the hospital if you felt the way you felt than coming to the hospital and playing as this role if you're gonna doubt.
You presented the court with pictures.
Yes, I have.
the plot thickens even more here. Amidst their heated debate over his role in Xavier's life and her recent engagement to another man, a witness named Ms. Vaughn steps up, brought in by Mr. Edwards. She stirs the pot by mentioning rumors of Ms. Ramos's pregnancy before she got back with Mr. Edwards, intensifying the confusion and doubts swirling around. What unfolds next in this courtroom is guaranteed to keep you on the edge of your seat.
Mr. Edwards, you've asked this woman to marry you. You've shown up at the hospital for the birth of this baby. You gave him your last name. You've checked every box. Applies to father. After all of this, you say you're not biological father.
There was just the doubts. It was just the cheating.
Mr. Edwards, you say you brought a witness today? I'd like
sure.
to hear from that witness.
Yeah, she's only been here since around February. She's a nobody.
So up to the witness stand next to the judge.
Because you're sleeping with her too.
That's what you think.
You're not going to believe this twist. The DNA results are finally unveiled.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Edwards, you are the father.
You. I want you to apologize to our son. I want you to apologize to him, as I told you since day one.
Buckle up, folks. The court session kicks off with the judge getting everyone settled and a round of hellos between the judge and those present in the courtroom. Jerome gets a nod as well. You're not going to want to miss what comes next.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello, Jerome.
This is the case of Jacobs versus Walker.
Thank you. Good day, everyone. Ms. Jacobs, you claim that your world was shattered just after your 14th birthday when your dad suddenly up and disappeared. Today, you say you've brought him to our courtroom to demand answers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you ready for this roller coaster? Ms. Jacobs lays out her heartbreaking tale, revealing that her life turned upside down when her father, Mr. Walker, vanished right after her 14th birthday. She's in court today, seeking answers from him about why he disappeared. Brace yourself, because it only gets wilder from here.
You'd always believe Ms. Jacobs was your biological daughter. Then on her 14th birthday, you overheard a conversation that changed everything. Mr. Walker, tell me, what happened on your daughter's 14th birthday?
On her 14th birthday, Your Honor, we were outside celebrating with 4th of July. I heard an argument inside the house.
You'll need to sit down for this one. Mr. Walker takes the floor, sharing that during the festive chaos of Ms. Jacobs' 14th birthday, he stumbled upon a conversation that flipped his world on its head. He learned he might not be her biological father, thanks to a bombshell dropped by his ex-wife and her kin. Just wait till you hear what he did next.
Why would you do it now, 14 years later, at her party, when we're supposed to be having a good time with her birthday, and you wait 14 years later to drag it out?
And then what happens at that point? The relationship ended. You ended the relationship.
That's correct.
Guess what happens next? Overwhelmed by the revelation, Mr. Walker confronts his wife mid-celebration, sparking a confrontation that ultimately dissolves their marriage. This explosive argument sends Ms. Jacobs and her siblings into foster care, with Mr. Walker relocating to another state. But hold on, the emotional turmoil isn't over.
All of this was going on at your 14th birthday party?
No, I actually just seen him walk out of the house. He was really angry, so didn't understand what was going on at all. After that, we ended up being put in foster care. And when I was in foster care, my father had left.
Grab your tissues. Ms. Jacobs recounts the confusion and abandonment she felt following her father's sudden departure, clueless about the reasons behind it. She shares a poignant letter penned at 14, pouring out her longing for his return. The twists and turns continue, so keep watching.
I actually have a letter here from where I took, and I wrote it when I was 14, when my dad actually left.
Can you read that for the court, please?
I can. Dad, I wish you never left. It really sucks that you're not here. Every night I pray that you come back. Sometimes I even pretend that what it would be like if you were still here. I don't know when I'm ever going to see you again, and it hurts. I'm kind of angry about it too. Why did you ever leave me? Why did you abandon us?
This next part is a real doozy. Struggling with the lack of familial bonds, Ms. Jacobs reveals she became pregnant at 16 to gain emancipation, a drastic step to create the stable family life she craved. This revelation underscores her deep-seated emotional strife and her desperate quest for a semblance of family. The story takes another dive deeper soon.
Yes, Your Honor.
At the time you wrote that letter, did you know your father at that time didn't know whether he was truly your biological father?
No, Your Honor.
You had no idea?
I didn't understand until I was 16 years old. It was really hard. I actually ended up getting pregnant when I was 16 just to be emancipated.
Ready for another curveball? As the plot thickens, Mr. Walker narrates the moment he caught his wife cheating, confirming his worst fears and deepening the family rift. This infidelity was the last straw, leading to further familial disarray. And guess what? There's even more to this saga.
And I called her a few hours later at her mother's house, and I said, is she there? And she's like, well, no, she ain't been here all day. I said, she's supposed to be at your house. I needed her to watch the children so I could go to work. So I go out looking for her, and I start out at the Walmart where I normally know that she goes, and I caught a guy down there that I knew worked with her at her job.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any more tangled, the court hears about the ongoing deception and conflict within Ms. Jacobs' family, with Mr. Walker detailing his enduring struggle to maintain contact with his children amidst false accusations and separation initiated by his ex-wife. But wait, there's more drama ahead.
All the way home, so when we get there, she still wanted to fight about it. And I told her, I said, what were you even doing down there? And then I confronted her about the Walmart thing from her friend saying that they've been in a relationship ever since she started working there. Denied all that. And I'm like, well, then why did I catch you at the dude's house drinking beer with 4 other guys and him?
Can you handle this heartfelt confession? With passion in his voice, Mr. Walker affirms his unconditional love for his children, whether or not they share a biological bond, highlighting his relentless commitment and the obstacles he's faced to remain a father. He presents evidence of his dedication to the court. The emotional climax is just around the corner.
I did confront her mother with it, and her mother's like, 5-year-old, you're going to believe everything a 5-year-old says? And I told her, I said, where does a 5-year-old even have time to sit and think
capacity
about
to
something for an adult? She's not thinking nothing about an adult way. She's thinking how to play with her Barbies or something.
Yes.
You won't believe this twist. Revealing a recent reconciliation with her father, Ms. Jacobs expresses remorse for her previous resentment, which was based on lies fed by her mother. This poignant moment reveals the depth of misinformation and its profound impact on their relationship. But stick around, the heartfelt revelations aren't over.
Do you believe you are Mr. Walker's biological daughter?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so, Mr. Walker, I have to ask you, what are your other doubts?
All my doubts together goes all the way back to in my childhood. I was probably 6, 7, maybe 8.
Here comes the moment of truth. The DNA test results are disclosed.
When it comes to the paternity of Miss Aisha Jacobs, Mr. Walker, you are Aisha's father.
Right off the bat, the courtroom is buzzing with anticipation. The case of Ramirez versus Jordan is introduced by the court officer Jerome. Miss Ramirez has brought her ex-boyfriend, Mr. Jordan, to court, claiming he denies paternity of their 4-month-old daughter, Mila. She hopes the DNA test results will compel him to take responsibility. Buckle up because this roller coaster is just taking off.
This is the case of Ramirez versus Jordan.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Ramirez, you have dragged your ex-boyfriend to court because you are tired of him denying your 4-month-old daughter, Mila. You're hoping today's results will make him finally step up.
Early into the session, accusations are already flying back and forth. Mr. Jordan asserts he is not Mila's father, claiming he was not near Miss Ramirez during the time of conception. Meanwhile, Miss Ramirez explains her struggles, raising Mila and her other 2 children without any support from Mr. Jordan. Strap in. The ride gets even wilder from here.
You claim to have evidence to prove that you were nowhere near the plaintiff during the time of conception, and therefore you cannot be Mila's biological father. Ms. Ramirez, you say Mr. Jordan does nothing for Mila?
He was not there for the pregnancy. He wasn't there for the birth. He's never provided diapers, wipes, formula, nothing. I take care of not only her, but my other 2 children as well.
Things heat up even more in the courtroom. Miss Ramirez accuses Mr. Jordan of abandoning his responsibilities, while he defends himself by emphasizing his involvement in the lives of their other 2 children. The dispute escalates with personal accusations and claims of infidelity. Just wait, it's about to get even juicier.
There hasn't been help for at least over 2 years now.
Are you avoiding responsibility, Mr. Jordan?
No, Your Honor. I'm just here to prove that Mila's not my baby. She's a liar, pathological liar. We have 2 other babies together, and I've taken care of Levi and Adrian. Like, I've stepped up. I've changed their diapers. Like, Adrian was here for 7 months. I took care of him. I do everything for them.
As the plot thickens, grab your popcorn. Miss Ramirez argues that during Mr. Jordan's visit to her state, they had unprotected sex, which could have led to conception. Mr. Jordan denies this, presenting a pay stub as evidence that he was working in Georgia during the alleged week of conception. The atmosphere is charged, and you'll be on the edge of your seat for what comes next.
The week he had came to visit, he was coming down with a friend. During that time, we were having unprotected sex. I had told him that I wanted another child with him. He's even said that, if a woman says that, they want another child or a child with him, he feels the need that he has to.
What?
That's not true, bro.
Yes, he has.
Don't pay attention to that. Your Honor, I just want to say also, when I broke up with her, I had found, sex messages.
Here's where the plot twists again. After some contradictions in her statements, Miss Ramirez admits to also having slept with another man shortly after Mr. Jordan's visit, but claims it was protected sex. The court scrutinizes the credibility of her timeline and her interactions with other potential fathers. Brace yourself, there's more to this story.
A week after he left, I did sleep with someone else, but I did use protection and he did pull out. But That was literally a day and a half later when I took a pregnancy test.
Your Honor, there's no way, and on top of that, she said that she had actually slept with someone before and she thought she was pregnant by another guy when she was talking on the phone, so.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I never said that.
What did she tell you, Mr. Jordan?
She told me that she thinks she was pregnant with some guy, like she just happened to tell me. Mike, okay?
Now, the truth begins to unravel in unexpected ways. A witness, Miss Amari Gilliard, testifies, complicating the case further. She reveals that she was the babysitter for Mr. Jordan's child and is now his girlfriend and pregnant with his child. She also indicates that Miss Ramirez admitted to her that another man might be Mila's father. The twists keep coming. Don't blink now.
State your name for the court, please.
I'm Amari.
And what's your last name, Amari?
Gilliard.
Gilliard. Thank you, Miss Gilliard, for joining us. How do you know Mr. Jordan and Ms. Ramirez?
I met him first and foremost, of course, and ended up being his babysitter for his second child that he has, Adrian, a few months, actually, while he was in Georgia.
But now you're dating him and actually having his other babies, right?
As emotions hit a peak, things get real. Emotions run high as Miss Ramirez and Mr. Jordan discuss their complex relationship and co-parenting challenges. Miss Ramirez expresses her desire for Mr. Jordan to be involved in their children's lives, while Mr. Jordan questions her honesty and intentions. The climax approaches with the DNA results up next. Prepare for a bombshell.
It has been determined by the court. Mr. Jordan, you are the father.
हेलो एंड वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल गाइस। तो कैसे आप सब लोग, उम्मीद है अच्छे होंगे। तो आज आप लोगों के मैं लेके आ चुका हूँ भाई बिल्कुल 100% वर्किंग आईपैड व्यू। जैसे कि आप अभी देख भी पा रहे होगे, ये मेरा 100% वर्किंग आईपैड व्यू है इस टाइम पे। और ये कहीं से मैंने कोई सेटिंग नहीं की है, कहीं से कुछ भी नहीं किया है, बस आपके फ़ोन के अंदर ही होता है, आपको नहीं।
लगी फौज वाली जॉब, सारे सोच रहे से लोग के चढ़ाई हो गई। जलने वाले भी करने लगे से तारीफ यो बढ़ाई हो गई। हो सर पैर बांध के कफन डोले से, छोरा सर पैर बांध के कफन डोले से, मज जान की लगा दे के ऑर्डर पे। हो सर्दी हो गर्मी या धूप बरसात, फौजी छाती तारे खड़ा मिले बॉर्डर पे। सर्दी हो गर्मी या धूप बरसात, फौजी छाती तारे खड़ा मिले बॉर्डर पे। म्यूजिक टोनी। हो सियाचिन की हो ठंड या हो भुज की दोपहरी रे या होलिया।
मैं बोल देता हूँ
हेलो नदीम है, नदीम को बोलो क्या? नदीम है कस्टमर